Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Corner. I know it's been a minute since I've had any videos out there, but it's been cold where I'm at. And if you do heating and air, you know we get busy when it gets cold out. So I haven't had quite as much time as I would like to get the videos out there as regularly as I would like to. So I do apologize. If you're new to some of the videos, I recommend go check the channel out. There's a lot of different videos on there. While you're there, go ahead and hit the subscribe button because that does mean so much to me, and I thank you for that. If you're one of my viewers that watches regularly, like I know there's a lot of you out there, I get a lot of comments and different things like that. So I just want to say thank you because I appreciate all the support that you guys give. But today I just want to do a quick video talking a little bit about some of the different types of heating systems out there. Where I'm at, we use quite a few different types of heating, and I know it's going to be different where you live, in different regions, different states, different countries, whatever it may be, because I know there's some people out there watching that are not in the United States, and that's great. So I love to see any of the comments from people out there all over the place. But wherever you're at, it's going to be different. So, when I talk about heat pumps, maybe your area doesn't do heat pumps, maybe your area doesn't do geothermals, whatever. But here in the Midwest, where I'm at, we do a little bit of everything. We see lots of gas furnaces, 80 and 90%ers. We see geothermal, air source heat pumps. There's even a few oil burners out there. We don't do a lot with oil burners here. I know in other regions, other areas, they do. There's nothing wrong with fuel oil. I know a lot of techs out there, if you're not used to it, they don't like working on it. But really, it's not that bad. We've got several that we take care of on a regular basis throughout the winter. So, it's one of those things you get used to. But, if you are a homeowner, and you are needing to purchase a new system, or if you're building a home and need to know what type of system to go to, that kind of thing, that's what this video is for. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the units themselves. I know some of you experienced techs out there that watch the videos. I know you already know a lot of this information, and if I give any of it out there wrong or incorrectly, please correct me. I love seeing the comments in there. So just let me know what you're thinking. And like I said, I know everybody's different in every area, but in our area, we are probably primarily gas furnaces, I would say. We do a lot of other, but primarily gas furnaces. And I've done a couple videos out there on 80 versus 90% gas furnaces. So I'm just going to stick with the 90s because if you watch the other videos, I'm a fan of 90%ers. I don't like 80%ers. I don't see a point in them anymore. As far as the cost difference, to go from an 80 to a 90, I don't think is great enough to, mess with. And you get better efficiency and all different kinds of stuff like that. So, and I know there's a lot of different types of gas furnaces out there because we've had some videos on the different types of them and everything like that. I'm just going straight up gas furnace. But 90% gas furnaces, most of them out there, we can get in that 95, 98% range of your AFUE rating. For you out there that don't know, AFUE stands for Annual Fuel Utilization Efficiency, I do believe. If I'm wrong, somebody please correct me. But basically that is your efficiency rating. The higher the number, the more efficient you're going to be. I tell everybody, okay, if you look at a 95% efficient furnace, and you feed that furnace, 95% furnace, $1, it's going to give you 95 cents worth of heat back, and 5 cents is going to go up the flue pipe and exhaust, because with a combustible fuel burning appliance, we're always going to have a little bit of waste. We have to have some kind of waste. So 95, basically a nickel, you're not using a nickel. So that's why I say if you're going to buy a gas furnace, buy a 90 plus efficient furnace, not an 80, because an 80, like I said, the price difference isn't there. It's worth to just get a 90% furnace. 90% furnaces do a great job heating your house as long as they're sized right. Always go with a contractor that is certified, licensed, insured, all that kind of stuff like that. Don't use the Chuck in the truck. No offense to anybody named Chuck or anybody that owns a truck. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but go with a company that is reputable and they have all their stuff together. You want to make sure somebody's doing things right, because that furnace does need to be sized right, just like any other piece of equipment out there. Make sure everything's done right. So 90% gas furnaces, excellent option. We also have, in our area, we do a lot with geothermals. I know some areas do geo, some don't. I'm a huge believer in geothermal. If you are building a new house, in my opinion, that is the only way to go. Geothermal it's where it's at. So they are efficient. Pretty much, I can't find many pieces of equipment that are more efficient than a geo to heat your house or cool your house. as well as longevity of the units. If one's well maintained, you got to get 20 years out of it pretty easy. So, I mean, the longevity, the life of the unit is there, the efficiency's there, noise level, as long as you're getting the right one, don't buy the cheapest one on the block, but as long as you get the right one, noise level's there. Most of them are using variable speed blowers now, which actually a lot of our gas furnaces are too. But, you know, they've got everything made to be quiet, to be efficient, to, you know, heat your home in the best way possible for a lot of years to come. So that's an excellent option. You also have air source heat pumps. Some areas don't do air source heat pumps. I get that. I'd like to do actually another video at some point in time about heat pumps specifically, because there's so many myths out there that they say, oh, well, heat pumps just don't work in my area. Now, that being said, there are a lot of areas that it doesn't work. I mean, if you're in Canada, if you're in the northern United States or something like that, or in a cold region, they very well may not work very well. I do not have a lot of personal experience in some of those northern climates, so I can't tell you if they do or if they don't. Somebody let me know in the comments if you do use them in your area and you're up north. But I know a lot of times they don't use them. That's where they usually go with geo or gas furnace or something like that. But air source heat pumps are a good option. There are a lot of myths about them. You know, back in the 70s, the 80s, they did have some problems. That has been worked out. Just like high efficiency gas furnaces, they had problems in the beginning. But, you know, they've worked that out. They're solid, good, efficient pieces of equipment these days. So, you know, it's there. That is also a very good option. Again, I said there was fuel oil. We don't do a lot of fuel oil in our area, but that's an option as well. And then we have all electric systems, like an electric furnace. I would not personally recommend going with just an electric furnace without having a heat pump on it. That's just my preference. I know there's a lot of areas that do, and actually, you know, where I'm at, we do some just straight electric furnaces if that's what our option is. But as far as just a straight electric furnace, are not always the most efficient. But there are cases where it works well. So I'm not condemning it by any means. But if you're going to put electric in or on all electric, I would probably recommend going with a heat pump of some sorts. So, you know, we've got all these different types of equipment and everything else, and everybody always wants to know, you know, what's best, what's perfect for my house, well, you know, what should I use? You know, that's the important part of this video. You know, there's a lot of different things to look at. Obviously, we need to look at fuel types in your area. We need to look at fuel cost in your area. We need to look at electric cost and all that kind of stuff, which again, if you have a good contractor in your area, they will be able to explain all this to you. But I'm hoping maybe I can back them up a little bit on, you know, what they're talking about. If you are a homeowner out there looking for what type of equipment you need, because, you know, the way I look at it, break it down by, you know, where you live, what type of home you have. And, you know, there's a lot of different things in there. You know, the type of home that you have, like I said before, if you are building a new home, in my opinion, if you're in an area that does geothermal is the only way to go on a new home. If you're in an area that does geo, you know, because geo is super efficient. But like I said, some areas don't do it, so that may not be an option. But, you know, I look at it this way. Okay, let's say you feed let's start with a 95% gas furnace. You feed it $1, it gives you 95 cents worth of heat back, right? Well, you feed an air source heat pump $1, it gives you $3 worth of heat back. You feed a geothermal $1, it gives you $5 worth of heat back. Now, I know that somebody's going to get on there and say, those aren't real numbers. That's not how it really works. I know they're not real exact numbers. I get that. But in comparison from one to the other to the next, there it comes out fairly close. I mean, as far as the efficiency that it'll give you, gas furnace over heat pump over geothermal. You know, so it's the efficiency's there on some of the other equipment. So, but it also depends on what you have. You know, if you have a 200-year-old farmhouse that every time the wind blows, you know, 3 miles an hour, it feels like you got open windows everywhere. It's probably, you know, geothermal is probably not your best choice. I would work first on sealing the house up. Now, I have seen some of these old houses that have been fixed up, remodeled, re-insulated, sealed, all that kind of stuff, and they put, you know, a $30,000 geothermal system in there, and it works great. Geo is an awesome piece of equipment, but the house needs to be taken care of first. You know, you're not going to want to put that geo in an old house that is not ready for geo. But just same with a gas furnace. You put a high efficiency gas furnace in there, you still need to seal your house up. You know, I'm not saying you can take, you know, a pole barn with no insulation and just throw a gas furnace in it, it'll heat it. You know, it doesn't work that way. We still need to be sealed up. We still need to be insulated. ductwork needs to be right, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot to it. So no matter what your choice is, the house has to be right. You also have to look at budget. You know, when you're picking a new type of system or whatever you're doing, you know, I threw a number 30,000 out there for a Geo. That may not be accurate. It kind of depends on your area, what you're dealing with, what you actually need, size-wise, ductwork, all your loops, all that kind of stuff. But in a pretty good theory, geothermal is usually going to be top of the list as far as expense-wise. Now, it does pay for itself. A lot of these new units, if the house is done right, units done right, they say they should pay for themselves in 6 to 7 years or 6 to 8 years, something like that. I've seen some that have paid themselves off way before that. In a lot of areas, we put sub-meters on them so we can see exactly what kind of energy use that Geo has. Again, I'm a big believer in Geo. I like them. But, you know, it is a more expensive piece of equipment. They're worth it, but they are more expensive. So you have to look at your budget as well. And then, you know, the heat pump side of it, just an air source heat pump, you know, you're going to have a little more cost over a standard air conditioner. And you're still going to have something inside, either an electric air handler to move the air and probably have backup heat, or, and a lot of times we do dual fuel systems, say that again, dual fuel systems where we put a gas furnace with a heat pump. So that heat pump runs and we shut them down about 35 degrees and let the gas furnace take over. Heat pumps will definitely heat below those temperatures, but in our area with the cost of electric versus the cost of gas, we start getting a little more efficient with that 96-98% gas furnace when we go to the gas at 30 degrees than we are the heat pump. So your area could be different, whatever it is, but a heat pump has to have a backup source anyways. So you know, a heat pump's going to be a little more money than a standard air conditioner, but if you're in a good area where your electric rates are good, there's some co-ops that give you discounted rates, stuff like that. If you have an all-electric or if you have a heat pump stuff. So you get cheaper rates, so at that point it's even more efficient, so it kind of overcomes that cost. And then you have a gas furnace. And I'm not telling you by any means that gas furnaces are cheap. They are not. There is no piece of heating and air equipment that is cheap these days. That's not a real thing. You know, you don't go down to the dollar store and buy a furnace. You know, they are expensive. They're all expensive, no matter what you're buying. But you know, budget-wise, if you are on that lower scale, maybe a young couple that just bought a house, just got married, just bought a house, remodeling it, fixing it up, or whatever, or maybe just bought a house and all of a sudden the furnace quit in it, and somebody said, you know, some guy like me showed up and said, you know, I think you need a new furnace. You know, sometimes that gas furnace is a good option. It's a great option. I have a gas furnace in my house. There is nothing wrong with it whatsoever. They are a little more budget friendly in comparison to a Geo, and efficiency wise, it's there. In my area, propane, I'm out in the country, we have propane at our house. Propane's going for a pretty good price, actually in the past few years. Now, several years ago, they had some huge spike. Supposedly, there was some weird kind of shortage or some story like that they told everybody, but you know, whatever, I'm not going to get into that. But you know, the price was high then, but you know, as long as you contracted or buy, you know, in bulk with a bigger tank, something like that, whatever, you know, it's not that bad. And normally gas is pretty cheap. You know, I pay attention to how much fuel I use from year to year, and actually I don't do bad on my fuel cost whatsoever, the way I see it. So a gas furnace is a good option. But either way, my whole point is you have to see what's best for you. And you have to find a contractor that is going to speak honestly with you and tell you all the different variables that go into choosing the correct system. So I noticed the sun's starting to go down and my lighting on my camera is getting a little rough. So I apologize. I'm going to hurry up and end this. But it's really up to you on what you need, what fits your budget, what kind of utility costs you have, what type of utilities you have in your area. You know, that kind of thing. So like I said, use a good contractor that can help you along the way. If you are a contractor out there watching these videos, or if you are a service technician, just speak openly with your clients and tell them all the information that you know about all the pieces of equipment, and you can give your recommendations on what you feel would be the best option. But you know, ultimately it is up to the homeowner to decide what they want and what fits them in the best way. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, if I've said any of this information incorrectly, or if you have any questions, or you want to see videos on something else, similar to this, I'm always looking for ideas. I'm a simpleton. I am a service tech that runs around doing all kinds of things, and I have the hardest time in the world coming up with ideas for videos. So if you could help me out, just let me know. But if you are new to the channel, be sure you hit the subscribe button. Like I said, that means more than anything to me. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much. Share with a friend. That way another technician can see it, or maybe another homeowner can see it. Whatever it is, just share with as many people as you can so we can get this out there. Thank you and God bless.